Hi, I'm Scott Humphrey, CEO of the World Floor Covering Association, and this is Leadership Live. Thank you for joining me again this week. We're on the letter I in Leadership by the Letter, and this word is intentional. Intentional leadership. What does intentional mean? It means done on purpose or deliberately. It causes me to look up another word, the word purpose, because it's such a vital part of that definition. And purpose simply means the reason for which something is done, created, or for which something exists. What is your purpose, your intent in leading? I see a lot of people that simply go through the motions of leadership because of a title, a last name, or they have people naturally looking to them in their responsibility, but they're not doing anything intentional about it. Why is that important? Because here's the difference. People that simply lead are focused where they are. Intentional leaders are focused on an outcome. There's a reason for what they do. In fact, I would put it like this. Those who simply lead, but without intent, are prone to make excuses. They tell you why they did something because their focus is here and behind. But those who lead with intent, intentional leaders, tell you the reasons why they did something because they're focused on getting there. There is a purpose behind it. Remember when you were a kid and somebody would pinch you or something and you'd look at them and go, "You did that on purpose." Well, why did we say that? Because it mattered more if it was done on purpose, right? Purpose, intent, it's leadership that matters. One of my favorite leadership stories is about a coach named Lou Little who coached at Columbia from 1930 to 1956, coach of the football team. But prior to that, coached 5 years at Georgetown from 1924 to 1929. He tells the story of a young man who tried out for the team, and he said he loved his size. He looked at him, he thought, man, this is great. He weighed about 200 pounds. He was a defensive tackle, and that was pretty good size for a football player at that time. So Lou Little takes him under his coaching and works with him over and over and over again. But the kid never gets any better. Now, he's faithful. He never misses a practice. He even got injured one time, comes back to the next practice. It was almost like a kind of a Rudy story, if you've seen Rudy about the desire to play at Notre Dame. But this kid kept coming, but he just wasn't good enough. And game after game after game, he never saw playing time. Little also admired him because of his relationship with his father. His father, he would walk with his father hand in hand all over campus. Obviously, they were close. His father would come to the football games, and even though his son wasn't on the field, just on the sideline, the father would yell nonstop. It was pretty amazing. Everybody began to know who the father was. One day, Lou Little gets a telegram, and it tells him that young man's father, unfortunately, had passed away. And he calls the young man in, and he said, "Listen, I know this weekend is your final game at Georgetown as a senior, and it's a home game. But I've got some bad news. I just got a telegram that your father has passed away, and you need to go home and take care of the family. We'll do this win for you. We'll take care of it." So the boy, now in tears, walks out, and he leaves. Much to Lou Little's surprise, he comes in on game day into the locker room, and that young man is sitting there. He looks at the coach eye to eye, and he says, "You got to put me in." He said, "Son, I can't do that. There are players that are much better than you. You've got this natural size, but we've not been able to do anything with it." He said, "Coach, please, you know my father passed away. I'm asking you for one play. Put me in at the beginning of the game, and I'll come out right after the first play." He tugged enough on Lou Little's heartstrings, and he said, "Okay, I'll do it." It was a kickoff. He puts him on the kickoff team because they're kicking off to the other team. He's a defensive tackle. Game starts. Kickoff goes in the air. That young man ran like he'd never run before. In fact, he hit the runner so hard, tackled him, that he almost knocked him into the front row, they said. It was amazing. And as he had promised, he immediately turned to walk off the field. And Lou Little motioned to him, and he said, "Nope, stay in." And he did stay on. The young man had one of the most amazing games Lou Little said he would ever see in coaching. He was in on every tackle. He was rushing the passer. He was everywhere. In fact, he was so good that when the team gathered together in the end zone after that win for his final game, they designated the game ball to him. And as Lou Little is handing him the ball, he says, "Listen, son, I got to know something. I've coached you for 4 years. I've worked one-on-one with you. I've never seen you play like that. What got into you?" He said, "Well, Coach, my father passed away." And he said, "Yes, son, was that it?" And he said, No, but Coach, you may not have known. I don't know if you knew that my father was blind. The reason I walked hand in hand with him is he couldn't see. That's the reason he would yell nonstop during the games. He just wanted to be there for me in case I was on the field." He said, son, I had no idea. I just knew you were very close. But what does that have to do with the way you play today? And the young man took the football and he held it up and he said, Coach, this is the first game my dad has ever seen me play. When you play with intent, when you play with purpose, you play differently. You play with a focus to accomplish the task. Listen, prior to that game, that young man simply played football. But today it was an intentional game. He played so his dad could see him play. I want to ask you to lead as if you are being watched, because somebody is watching you all the time. Somebody's eyes are on you if you've been blessed with a position of leadership. And so as you grab the game ball, I want you to be able to say at the end, I played because they were watching me. Live intentionally, but certainly lead intentionally because the eyes are on you. Now go out there and lead.